Hello and welcome back to the channel. Okay, I've not been around for a while because basically I've been working a lot, working hard. So yeah, to earn lots of extra cash. So yes, I've not been around and not been able to get out too many videos at the moment. So I'm sort of catching up on some back news. And the first to catch up on is Returnal. So Returnal's released on the PS5, and it's getting quite a lot of praise. Which, you know, I'm not against praise in a game. But the only thing I don't like things to be praised for is when there's sort of it shows sort of an imbalance between games and especially sort of consoles. So in this instant, we've got Returnal for the PS5, which is a next-gen game for the PS5, made for the PS5. So I mean, firstly, the game it is running at 1080p upscaled. So it's 1080p upscaled for the PS5, and it runs at 60 FPS. So, firstly, I don't think that's too impressive, but that's not the be-all and end-all, really, though you'd expect more from a next-gen console for a game such as this. But let's look more sort of into sort of the comparisons. So, yeah, the game rated 86%, which is very high, really, considering. So, the gripe I've got, really, with this is the game's very similar to Recall. A lot of them say, no, it's not, it's more like a Demon Souls kind of game. I'm talking about the mechanics and the gameplay. It plays the difficulty. Yes, it might be Demon Souls-esque because if you die, the difficulty mode is Demon Souls. But the actual gameplay and the mechanics there are much more like the game Recall. Now, I don't know if you recall Recall. It was an Xbox game back in 2017. I'm gonna say 2017, and it's only scored low basically. But this pretty much looks the same. Plays the same. However, the difference is Returnal is a £70 AA title. Yes, and it costs £70. It's AA. It's running at 1080p upscaled at 60 FPS, which is what Recall did as well. But this scores 86%, whereas Recall scored 63%. And when the game came out, a lot of the fanboys, PS fanboys, saying it's trash, it's rubbish, yada yada yada. But this game pretty much is side-by-side comparison, the same as Returnal. Okay, Returnal might have slightly better graphics, kind of, but remember it is a game on the next-gen console and is sort of about 4 years. It's come 4 years after Recall, which you'd expect it. But Recall was also, I suppose, a AA title, but it only costs £30 versus Returnal's £70. So there's a massive difference there. But it scored low because, for one, they scored it down because they said it was repetitive, which they've scored Returnal up. They've said it was repetitive, but it's fun gameplay. But this they scored down. They said it's fun gameplay but repetitive. So they've scored it down, which really gets on my nerves when they do that. They sort of, there's no sort of set, this game's repetitive, we'll score it up. This game's repetitive, we'll score it down. There's no set sort of method that they seem to go with. They just seem to pick and choose. It just gripes on me that there's no standard in ratings anymore. The other problem with it was the issues. Now, a lot of people can say, yeah, but Recall had loads of issues, whereas Returnal's had no issues. But let's have a look into that, shall we? So, Returnal publishes list of known issues, says he's investigating crashes with Sony. So, yeah, a lot of people are saying that it's all just made up, it's in people's heads and stuff, there's no real issues with it, or the old, I'm not having problems with it, so they don't exist, which is absolute rubbish, because every single person can have a problem with something high. But the problems are there nonetheless, just the same as they were on Recall, because not everyone had problems. I had no problems with it. So a number of Returnal players have reported that the consoles are crashing while playing the game. The developer House Marquee has said that this is an issue with the PlayStation 5, which it is looking into with Sony. This is an issue the platform, the studio wrote on Discord via Push Square. We've sent our report to Sony specifically as it has something to do with the pre-start system. House Marquee didn't explain what this means, but we did get a list of known issues that's already aware of and investigating alongside the crashes. Right, so here's a list of the issues. Game does not have a save option, which is supposed to have. The games team is aware of this issue. There's no need to bring it into our attention anymore. Not able to interact with the fabrications and not able to pass through. Fabricators not able to pass through doors. Audio issues. Barnacles not appearing visually. After remapping controls, some interactions may not work. So that's just some of the issues that have been reported. But the problem is they've said that the game should have saves and there's a few issues, but this is a problem with the PS5. The PS5 is struggling to basically play it. Sorry, it keeps scrolling. My controller's busted, as I've mentioned before, and I need to get a new one. So the PS5 is apparently struggling with this, which is probably why it's running only at 1080p upscaled, because the game doesn't look like a particularly challenging game. I mean, Recall was also running at 1080p, I believe, so on the Xbox X. So, but let's move on to the next bit. The main gripe is loads of people saying that it's nothing like Recall. So this is Returnal you got here, and then now we've got Recall. So I'm going to switch between Returnal and Recall, Returnal and Recall, and you can clearly see there is a great deal similar between the two games, and the graphics are not overly different either. Remember, these one's on the next gen console, the other's not, and there's a 5-year difference. But the issue is when it comes down to Metacritic ratings. I don't know. We know a lot of the PlayStation games are boosted anyway because, let's be honest, they pay for reviews, and a lot of their scores are by their own channels, their own sites that boost them up, like DualShockers give them 10 out of 10, and PlayStation Nation and PSX and Push Square all give the games, Sony games, 10 out of 10. Obviously, because why wouldn't they be 10 out of 10? All of them 10 out of 10. Whereas on the Xbox side, it's not so much. That's why you get PlayStation games have far more reviews than Xbox games, because they're boosted by the Sony sites that are coming in and giving them 10 out of 10. On top of that, these two games, one of them's cost £70. This costs £70, and it's got issues, and it's running at 1080p on next gen console. The other one's only £30. So I just find it weird that people are so on the back of this game and so sort of defending it so hard, which I think it's really sort of just not a good example of the PlayStation 5 yet. And I think hopefully we should see something better soon, because I think really this is kind of not a great move for Sony, and it's not very impressive in the slightest. But let's move on to the other bit of news. So the next bit of fantastic news is this shit. Sony really hated PS4 crossplay, confidential documents reveal. Yes, they really didn't want crossplay, and they're kind of charging publishers and that for crossplay.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Yes. Look at it.
Nope, sadly, come back. It's not a rumour or anything weird like that. Sony will only support crossplay in games if publishers agree to compensate it when it isn't earning its share of revenue, according to Epic Games' CEO. Yes, this is a thing from CEO. CEO themselves have come out to this. Tim Sweeney revealed that the deal was as part of its testimony yesterday during the ongoing Epic versus Apple lawsuit, where he claimed that Sony is the only platform holder that requires compensation for lost revenue during crossplay. A document shared as part of the hearing shows that Sony demands royalties if the company's cross-party revenue share drops below 85%. That's just greed. I'm sorry, Sony, that's just greed. For crossplay. And you're the only platform to do it. He says they're the only platform to do it. This means if the proportion of revenue made through in-game purchases is less than 85% of the proportion of users planned on PlayStation formats, Sony wants to be compensated.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The move is... oh man, this is making me laugh. The move is designed to avoid players buying in-game items on other platforms, stores then primarily using them on PlayStation. In certain circumstances, Epic will have to pay additional revenue to Sony, Sweeney stated during the trial. If somebody were to primarily playing on PlayStation but playing on iPhone, then it might trigger compensation. Sony's deal also states that it has the right to audit the publisher's book to see what their revenue was for a game, so it can determine its revenue share. This is pure greed, man. This is awful. I really can't understand why anyone, especially the weird Sony fan base, support this. These are the people that kept going more than anyone else. They really help them out. Yada yada yada. This is pure greed. Sony are so desperately they're in an awkward position at the moment. This is why I think last gen was completely made up and fabricated, because they seem to just have no money. They have to do dodgy side deals like this and just be grabbing at sort of dollars wherever they can get them. It just seems weird and it's just greedy. It's pure greed, and I hope nobody supports this. I hope nobody supports this, and I hope there's people in the comments. I best not get PS4 fanboys supporting this kind of greed, because this is pure greed. Don't come and damage control in saying, "Oh no, but it seems right." No. If Xbox is doing this or anyone else is doing this, you'd be all over that shit. No, stop it. This is pure greed. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? Nothing more to say about this. It's just greedy. Sony, as we always knew, are just greedy, and this generation they are fucking up massively. So let's move on let's look at Resident Evil comparison. Xbox Series X versus PS5 Resident Evil. Okay, so the demo's out for Resident Evil The Village. So basically the game runs better on the Xbox Series X than PS5. A comparison between Xbox Series and PS5 versions of Resident Evil Village shows that the PS5 doesn't hold up as well with ray tracing enabled. This is obvious. This is always going to be said. We had a lot of PS fanboys at the beginning going, "Oh, the Xbox is underpowered, yada yada," and Xbox coolly just said, just wait, it'll come, because the consoles devs had the PS5 dev kits longer than the Xbox, but as time progresses, the devs will have more time with the Xbox Series X, and the power differentiation will change, and it will start to show it. In addition, the Xbox Series X has more CUs than the PlayStation 5. I think the PlayStation 5 has something like 36 CUs, whereas the PS5 has 36 CUs. Well, the Xbox Series X, I believe, has something like 52 CUs. Now, CUs help calculate how good your ray tracing is going to be. So Xbox Series X has better ray tracing because it has more CUs, basically. And we've been saying that for a long time, but a certain fan base refused to accept that. It refused to accept the Xbox Series X was more powerful, and it will show later on. So a comparison video between Xbox Series XS and PS5 versions of Resident Evil Village shows that the PS5 doesn't hold up as well with ray tracing enabled. Resident Evil Village is the 8th numbered entry in the franchise. After the critically acclaimed Resident Evil 7, Village continues the story of Ethan Winters. Questions remain about why RETURNAL. I don't care about that. About the plot, let's have a look down. Let's have a look, see what they say about this. Right, the video on YouTube analysis ray tracing performance for the Xbox Series X and PS5 versions of Village. Ray tracing enabled, the Xbox X performs better with less frame dropping than the PS5 and Series S. The drops of PS5 have never slipped past 50 frames, maintaining close to 60 FPS. Okay, the drops of the PS5 have never slipped past 50 frames. Okay, well that's actually not true. Let's look at this. Now, as we can see here in this demonstration, we've got both machines running side by side. This is Digital Foundry's analysis, but you can see sort of the PlayStation 5 version does dip. But they say it doesn't drop below 50. Let's see if we can get it to drop below 50 in this demonstration from Digital Foundry. Shall we just keep watching? But other than that, the graphics sort of are pretty much identical at this stage. There's not much difference in that, but the PS5 certainly is fluctuating a lot more than the Xbox Series X. It does show a much more stable rate. Even if you look at the bottom, the bar shows the green bar is Xbox Series X and much more stable. Now look, that's dropping below 50 there. See that? Dropped down to 49. See if it drops again. 55, 60, back up again. But I did note it dropping at one point lower than 49. Did it drop down to 47, I believe? But the bar there at the bottom shows that the green line being Xbox Series X is far more stable than the blue line, which is PS5, which is fluctuating and doesn't really hold 60 very often. So here's a picture of it side by side. At one point, Xbox Series X was running at 58, while the PS5 was 49, which is actually under 50, as they claim doesn't drop below 50. And I'm pretty sure I've seen it drop to 47 at its lowest. Whereas the Xbox Series X drops to, I think, only about 57, 56 at its lowest. So the performance is better on the Xbox. So the question really is going forward, how will both compete? Obviously, I think it's going to be a given that Xbox Series X will continue to outperform the PS5. What it says here, what the RE engine can do, even on relatively weaker hardware, is impressive. The Xbox Series X has the best performance with ray tracing enabled, but all three hit a stable 60, includes the Xbox Series S, FPS without it. See, that's this. Remember, this is with ray tracing from all three consoles. So without it, all three consoles are pretty stable. So, but with it, all three consoles do hold a continuous 60. All of them dip. It's just that the PS5, I'm gonna take the Xbox Series X out of the equation. Xbox Series X does hold a much longer stable FPS than the PS5. The PS5 dips a lot more and dips lower. So will we see in the future? Will we see Xbox Series X pretty much going toe to toe with PS5 and demolishing it?
So even on total strikes. That is real life ninja stuff. Fatality.
Because at the end of the day, the Xbox Series X does have more teraflops, it has more power, it has more CUs, more GPU, more CPU, and it does have more next-gen features. For example, the PS5 doesn't have VRR yet, and it's not got full RDNA. It's just got its own custom RDNA 2, which is lacking. Nothing is not as good, it's not fully developed as the Xbox Series X's RDNA 2. So it does lack in many areas that next gen. So, and that's on top obviously the teraflops and GPU, CPU, CUs, all the other stuff. And so it'd be interesting to see as we go on if the margin will grow or if things will stable out, or but it looks like now, as we predicted, things are starting to change and switch. And as the new next gen games come out, games specifically made for next gen and have had more time for developers to work on, it'd be interesting to see what games come from that. It's exciting for both sides, really, to be honest. What we're really looking forward to is the new next gen exclusives. I'm sure you can all agree. Thank you all for watching. Yeah, sorry my videos are a bit short at the moment. There's not much around at the moment, and I haven't been able to do my podcast with Red Dead, and we're trying to get So Shady on. But I'm sort of working weekends at the moment and doing a lot, so hopefully, and I'm working away as well, so I'm not at home, I'm working away from home because I've got so much on. And staying in hotels and stuff. I'm staying in a hotel and it's not got Wi-Fi. What kind of hotel doesn't have Wi-Fi? So I couldn't even use my Xbox. Jesus Christ. So, yes, thank you all for watching. Please sub, share. Thank you everyone so far that subscribed. I see my subscribers slowly creeping up. I really want to make 1,000 before the end of this year. I'm not even at 300 yet, but I'm creeping up there. But thank you all for watching, and goodbye for now.